WWL-TV. This is the Eyewitness News at noon.
Tropical depression Cristobal is beginning to move out of the area, and while there wasn't much damage from rain, we did see lots of flooding caused by storm surge, wind, and high tides across the area, like this video from Grand Isle where the mandatory evacuation was just lifted. We have team coverage from two North Shore areas that saw some serious surges coming up. Good afternoon to you. I'm Paul Dudley. We are starting to see some of that training rain from the back end of Cristobal. That is something we were expecting today, and it has triggered a flash flood warning for some of you. Your local weather expert, Alexander Cranford, is joining us now with the details, and certainly not as bad as we thought it was going to be, but some issues still to look at.
Yeah, exactly, Paul, and we are seeing the heavy rain.
All right, thank you, Alexandra. On the North Shore, we've been watching for flooding and rising rivers as well as lake levels, which has led to some water rescues at Fontainebleau State Park. Our Jade Cunningham joins us now with more. And anytime you hear the word water rescues, your heart sort of stops a bit. Is everybody okay, Jade?
Yeah, Paul, especially when there's kids involved, and you're right, your heart does kind of stop when you hear that, but everyone was okay. You know, this is a story with a happy ending.
All right, thank you so much, Jade. And several agencies are joining together in hopes of finding two missing boaters. The St. Tammany Sheriff's Office reported Ted Roach and Jennifer Lingani missing around 3:30 yesterday after they failed to return to Salt Bayou near Slidell. They left Slidell around 1 p.m. and were expected back around 1:30. Anyone with any information that could help locate Roach and Lingani are encouraged to contact the Coast Guard Sector New Orleans. That number is there on your screen. And Slidell was an area that also saw flooding due to Cristobal. Meg Ferris is joining us now with a live update. Meg, what's the situation out there?
Eyewitness News. Back to you, Paul.
All right, thank you, Meg. The water going down is certainly good news. In St. Bernard Parish, the Wood Lake Levee has been cut to let water that gathered after Cristobal out. They posted this video earlier today where you can see crews working to release that water. We should also note that all RTA bus routes, the Canal Line and the Loyola streetcar lines are back up and running. Officials say service on the St. Charles streetcar line will resume as soon as personal vehicles are removed from the neutral ground. And of course, you can stay up to date on storms with our WWL-TV app on your phone. We'll send you the latest alerts and updates. It's free at the Apple Store and Google Play. The former mayor of Kenner is facing charges after he allegedly rammed a woman's car. Police say Phil Capitano was called to an apartment near the 300 block of Clemson Street by his nephew. The nephew's ex-girlfriend was reportedly trying to take property there. Capitano, who served as the mayor from 2004 to 2006, allegedly parked his car behind the woman's to stop her from leaving. The victim did get away, but Capitano apparently followed her to a convenience store. According to police, Capitano then rammed her vehicle. Capitano told police that the victim slammed on her brakes and caused the crash. Regardless, he was charged with 1 count of aggravated criminal damage to property. Today, a public viewing will be held for the man who has inspired marches and racial justice and police accountability across the world. George Floyd is being laid to rest in his hometown of Houston. A public viewing is being held right now as you take a live look there. George Floyd's funeral services will take place tomorrow. Houston's Mayor Sylvester Turner, Reverend Al Sharpton, and boxer Floyd Mayweather are all expected to attend the funeral. And exactly 2 weeks after Floyd's death, the majority of city council members in Minneapolis have promised to dismantle the city's police department and replace it with a new system of public safety. Jeff Begay's reports. And later this afternoon, New Orleans police will address Wednesday's protest. That's the night NOPD officers fired tear gas into protesters on the Crescent City connection. Police say they warned people to get off the bridge several times. However, demonstrators say they didn't get that warning. Questions were also raised about whether police fired rubber bullets, which Superintendent Sean Ferguson has denied. You can watch Ferguson speak at 1:30 on our app and social media pages. Still ahead on the Eyewitness News at noon, as more states reopen, many are turning to technology to fight the coronavirus. To find out how and get an update, just stay with us. Plus, we are watching the season's first tropical storm move through the area. An update on Cristobal when we come back.
And we got the whole gang out there reporting for us. Now let's go to Paul Dudley live at Orleans and Broad, I believe. Is that where you are, Paul?
Yeah, Leslie, good to hear your voice back in studio again, by the way. Yeah, we're at Orleans and Broad here. I want to give you a look around just so you can have an idea of how much water has taken over the street here. People making their way down the street. This young lady here has a couple trash bags on her feet, just making whatever will do. You know, Tropical Storm Cristobal made its way through, and folks weren't really expecting too much rain in the region, and then all of a sudden, early this morning, the rain came. I am here with a longtime neighbor, Kelly Jones. And Kelly, you've been here for about 20 years, seen your fair share of floods, although you say it's been really particularly bad over the last 3 to 4 years. Yeah. Take me through what happened early this morning.
Early this morning, the rain started coming down. It rained for about an hour, and then the sewer lid popped off. And so, like I said, I'm like the alarm system here for my neighbors whose cars so they won't get flooded. So I wait and see, and when I heard that pop of the lid, then I was like, oh yeah, it's time to start moving cars. So I started calling neighbors and getting everybody moved. You
say that's a sign that you know that it is time to wait, alert your neighbors here, tell them that it's time to move the cars up to the neutral ground. Mm-hmm. What is your reaction to just seeing this flooding right now right in front of your house?
I just hope that some way we can figure out how to fix the sewer system, or, you know, I don't know. It's like I saw a vacuum truck come down, and once the vacuum truck came, then everything started to kind of go down some. So that was great. But hopefully, like I said, in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been a lot worse than I've ever seen it. So there's something going on that maybe needs to be, you know, checked and pumped or worked out, maybe get different drain systems or something.
And we're sitting in probably about maybe 9 inches of water right now, maybe a foot at its highest. But you said it was actually a considerable amount higher before.
Yeah, it was close. It was over 2 feet, definitely about 2.5 feet. So, you know, when the cars drive down the street, we just always ask them to slow down, because not only does it destroy their cars to go faster, pushing the water inside their car and the engine, but it also pushes water into everybody's homes and causes damage. So.
And I understand you're trying to get to a doctor's appointment now?
Yeah, we're trying to get to a doctor's appointment. We were trying to wait for the water to go down, but we got to make it through and we parked our cars on Broad on neutral ground, a little higher land over there. So,
well, your car is not, how far is it? You got to walk through that?
The light, yeah, we got to go through the light, but it's not getting flooded. So.
All right, well, thank you so much for talking with us, Kelly. I really appreciate your time. As Copa shoots a little bit more video here, I'm going to walk over. I'm seeing another neighbor here who's alerting me to, how you doing, sir? It drops off there a bit. How you doing? Good to see you, sir.
Hey, how you doing? I live across the street over here, and I've been living here for 8 years. And I say in the past 3 years or so, it's flooded 5 or 6 times like this. It's really bad. I mean, it destroyed I have a door on my, as the stairs go up to my sort of patio there, and over time it's destroyed that door. I mean, I know it's not a big deal, but
and even sorry, what did you say your name was?
I'm David.
And David, take me through when you really started to see this rise up. Some neighbors are saying about 7, but a little bit later, maybe?
That lady you just interviewed, she's wonderful. I was asleep and she rang the bell, and I'm like, who's ringing my bell at this time of the morning? And I heard the rain, but it didn't register. And she said, oh, we're starting the flood, and the rain's coming down and the water's going up. I was parked over here. You know, you can see now if I had remained there, my engine would have been flooded. Yeah. So thank God that she did that, and I woke up and desperately moved my car to the neutral ground.
And so, David, you were just watching us on your TV live in our house and saw the interview, and
I did.
Yeah. And so, what is your reaction then to seeing this flooding? You've said over the last 3 to 4 years you've seen a lot more of this. What is your reaction? What is your message to the city?
Well, it's really frustrating. I don't know. I mean, if anything more can be done with the pumps, but I know you missed it. See that area right there?
Yeah. That's where
at the worst of it, it was coming up. It was bubbling up and flowing just like a fountain. I mean, it was unbelievable coming out of the sewer, I guess. But it seems to me they could do more to upgrade the pumps. I realize, you know, it can handle so much water in so much time, and that's always the story they give, and I'm sure it's true. But can they improve it in some kind of way? New pumps, brand new pumps? I mean, I don't know how old the pumps are in the city, but they're probably pretty old.
Yeah. And we're still waiting to hear back from the Sewage and Water Board about what this might be. Kelly was suggesting that maybe that the pumps were a little overwhelmed at some point in the evening, and that there was just too much water. They certainly can handle a lot of water, but there is a limit. you know, it also is impacting businesses too. You live a stone's throw away from the Broad Theater, which is probably got 2 feet of water in the parking lot right now.
I feel so bad about the Broad Theater because they're on a slab and there's nothing they can do to avoid the water. And so if you know, so one thing it's another for the Broad Street. It was a pandemic first, you know, and then they're out of business, and then the flooding, and then always something for those people, and I feel so bad for them. And right over here at Orleans Sheet Metal too, you know, they're on the slab, they're on the ground, and they get flooded really bad when the water gets pretty high, so feel bad for them.
Yeah, and we were talking to Kelly earlier, as you saw in our report. She actually has to go to a doctor's appointment. Are you going to be just hunkering down?
Well, I have an appointment, it's funny, at 3:30 with a doctor, and I'm not sure I can keep it because, I mean, he's in Lakeview, and I'm sure it's flooded out there. I've seen on the TV, and certainly I don't know when this is all going to go down to where I could drive out of it. So I'm reluctant, so I'm probably going to have to cancel or reschedule that appointment.
Well, thank you so much, David. I appreciate your time. As we take a walk down Orleans here, you can see that's what Kelly was talking about earlier. That is the manhole cover that actually blasted off in the middle of the night. You see that, David?
Yeah, now it looks like, I don't know what it's doing. I guess it's still spitting up water, but it was really, I mean, like a fountain. Exactly. Oh, wow. It's really acting, you know, it's acting up for the camera. That's kind of funny in a way.
And for those of you who are just joining us, we interviewed a neighbor earlier, Kelly, and she said that this is a sign. She hears these manhole covers from time to time actually blast off at points during storms, and that's how she knows to alert her neighbors to move their cars to the neutral ground. David was just saying that that's how he found out to move his car to the neutral ground. So a lot of activity out here still. We do know that vacuum trucks, we've been told, have been making their way down Orleans Street and trying to move some of this water. Here is a crew of some sort. I can't get a total, it looks like crew of Public Works, if I'm not mistaken, making a way down here. They might be trying to plug up this manhole cover here. We're not 100% sure, but yeah, that is crew of Public Works Department right there, identifying this. And the other thing that happens here is when a large truck like this makes their way down the street, the water starts moving in, and luckily some of these homes are raised up a bit, but you know, as Kelly was telling us earlier, it was about 1.5 feet higher at one point here. So still a lot of water on the streets here in Orleans, and definitely a situation we are monitoring as the crew of Public Works tries to really get the water to go down here.
Yeah, Paul, I see that Public Works truck actually had some barricades on the back. We saw over where Duke was, closer to Orleans and Basin. They were actually putting some of those barricades out earlier. And listen, you're not far from the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club. Were you able to pass there? Did you see if they took on any water? Because we know they have in recent floods. They're right around the corner from you.
Well, yeah, so I parked right at the Broad Theater, and really from the Broad Theater all the way down, you've got a good amount of water on the street. If you're walking on the neutral ground, you're certainly okay, but if you get on the street, you're probably dealing with about 6 inches of water, if not more. And again, it was higher at one point.
Wow, Paul, thank you very much for that report.